And I have to say that I think it's fair to charge it. People renting single family homes that have their own water meters and trash cans usually are paying for these utilities along with gas and electricity. So, why, if someone's living in an apartment or a duplex that only has one water meter, is it expected that the landlord has to absorb that cost? It also encourages your tenant to conserve. When they're paying for a portion of the water, they don't want that rate to go up. So they may be more conscientious of their usage. They'll also be more likely to tell us when there's a leak or a toilet that's running too. Welcome to Your Landlord Resource Podcast. Many moons ago, when I started as a landlord, I was as green as it gets. I may have had my real estate license, but I lacked confidence and the hands-on experience needed when it came to dealing with tenants, leases, maintenance, and bookkeeping. After many failed attempts, fast forward to today, Kevin and I have doubled our doors and created an organized, professionally operated rental property business. Want to go from overwhelmed to confident? If you're an ambitious landlord or maybe one in the making, join us as we provide strategies and teach actionable steps to help you reach your goals and the lifestyle you desire, all while building a streamlined and profitable rental property business. This is Your Landlord Resource Podcast. Hey landlords, welcome to the Your Landlord Resource Podcast. I'm your host, Stacie Casella, and I'm here with my co-host and man of my dreams, Kevin Kilroy.
Thank you. and hello everyone. Your man of my dreams comment threw me there for a second.
Yeah, I was just trying to see if you're listening.
Okay, just as long as they're not nightmares, I'm good with it.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping our listeners are listening. So today we are doing our first shorty episode, and our goal is to get this episode done in 15 minutes or less. So let's get to it. So if you guys own a duplex, triplex, fourplex, really almost any size older multifamily rental property, there's a very good chance that you've experienced this issue. You get a water bill and it makes absolutely no sense. Nothing changed, no new tenants, no repairs being made that are going to use a lot of water, but suddenly the bill is double what you expected. So then you start wondering, is there a leak? Is someone taking 2 showers a day? Did someone new move in that you don't know about? Because here's the real issue. When utilities are included in rent, the landlord carries 100% of the financial risk, and the tenant has zero visibility into the usage. For years, landlords just absorbed this cost because it was simple. And honestly, that was just the way things were done. But utilities, especially water, sewer, trash, and recycling, have changed. Their rates are rising faster than rent in many areas, and small landlords are quietly subsidizing behavior that they can't control. So, today we're talking about a tool that many owners are starting to use, which is a flat monthly utility fee. We will be discussing what it is, how it works, how tenants actually respond to it, and how to implement it without starting a tenant revolt.
We have absolutely had those water bills. And in some cases, the water company has contacted us to ask if we have checked for leaks because they were seeing a pattern over a specific billing period. But you don't want to count on that happening, right? So of course, we do inspections twice a year and during turnovers to look for leaks. But what would be nice is if the tenants would actually recognize if there was a leaky faucet or toilet, right?
Right. And I think for the most part, many of them would if you asked them to be aware of it. You know, historically, landlords just have always included utilities in the rent. And that worked when utility costs were predictable. But today's utilities, and we're talking mostly water, sewer, trash, and recycling here, most of those have become more volatile. Water rates, especially in California, are ridiculous. When we had our horrible drought many years ago, the rates were raised to discourage usage. And I guess they figured we didn't want a high bill, which was true. But we're no longer in a drought. and the rates are still high. When they couldn't raise the rates for water, they went after sewer costs. So much so that in our county here in the Bay Area, they decided to add those sewer costs onto our annual property tax bill.
Yeah, I think they think because sewer costs are a fixed rate, it was an easy item to move to property taxes. And I also think that because many people were getting water bills north of $500 or $750 for a single family home, that removing that sewer charge and putting it on the tax statement, it in essence lowered the water bill. And psychologically, they felt they were paying less. In turn, when the water rates went up again, it was not perceived as a huge increase as it was before.
Yeah, and when it comes to multifamily properties, the owners are unknowingly subsidizing tenant usage. So when utilities are stated as included in the rent, the landlord takes 100% of the risk and the tenant has zero awareness of the usage. They have no idea what the increase is for running toilets or long showers or unreported leaks or even extra occupants. This is where the idea of a flat monthly utility fee comes in. You know what? We're here for it.
So let me take a minute to define exactly what this means. A flat fee means the owner or landlord keeps utilities in their own name. In turn, they charge their tenant a fixed monthly charge in addition to their rent. And the amount is usually based on occupancy, not the actual monthly bill. So, for example, in Idaho, with all new incoming tenants, the property manager will be charging a flat rate of $45 a month for utilities. No matter how much our bill is each month, we are guaranteed to get that amount per unit once it is implemented for all tenants. Now, one reason they're doing this is because we have had a hard time raising rents in the Boise area. Rental rates skyrocketed during COVID and are now stabilizing with little or no rent increases, at least for us and a few other landlords we know back. But landlords, especially ones who have bought in the last, 3 to 5 years and have decent sized mortgages, really are not earning what older owners are on these rent increases. And those increased water and trash rates are really eating into their bottom line. So this flat rate utility fee for tenants to compensate landlords for their usage is really becoming a commonplace procedure. And this is not to be confused with RUBS, which stands for Ratio Utility Billing System. That is a billing allocation system where usually an outside company takes the monthly water, sewer, and trash invoices for a rental property and uses specific formulas and calculations to bill each tenant for their share. Typically, RUBS formulas use the following information to determine the tenant cost: the square footage of the unit, the number of occupants residing in the unit, and the number of bedrooms. Then the RUBS company applies all of that information towards the percentage allocation of the real bill for the building. Now, it varies from month to month and requires very specific disclosures in the lease. The company that does this work also charges the owner a percentage for their fee, but usually the owner will have to pay much less than they do with a flat fee.
So, a key distinction is that a flat fee is a cost sharing arrangement, and RUBS is a billing allocation system. But landlords, including ourselves, often prefer that flat fee, and here's why. It's a lot more predictable. It's way easier to explain to the tenants. It's much easier to handle with bookkeeping, and there is likely to be fewer disputes about the charges.
So, why do landlords choose to do this instead of just keeping utilities included in the rent?
I think there's a few reasons. And you guys, we never really advertised that water, sewer, and trash are included with the rent. It was always just that way. We did not charge more than other landlords in the area based on comps because we included these utilities. And honestly, until recently, including those utilities was just expected, but not any longer. And I have to say that I think it's fair to charge it. People renting single family homes that have their own water meters and trash cans usually are paying for these utilities along with gas and electricity. So why, if someone's living in an apartment or a duplex that only has one water meter, is it expected that the landlord has to absorb that cost? It also encourages your tenant to conserve. When they're paying for a portion of the water, they don't want that rate to go up. So they may be more conscientious of their usage. They'll also be more likely to tell us when there's a leak or a toilet that's running too. What's also going to help us be able to budget a little better, you know, we're not for gouging our tenants. In Sacramento, the average monthly cost of water, sewer, trash, and recycling, those invoices are around $825 a month. You guys, that's an expense that is just shy of $10,000 a year. And full transparency, that is damn near 1 month of rents for us. And when you consider that our property taxes and our insurance rates are around another $20,000 a year, that is 1 full quarter of rents spent on 3 expenses alone. And that's not including our 15% in reserves or what we pay for maintenance, like landscaping or any regular upkeep to the property. And listen, I'm not complaining about this, but it's necessary to be strategic and business-minded. So what we did was we took a 3-month average and we split it in half. We're going to cover 50% of that cost, and the other 50% will be paid by the tenants.
And I really think that's more than fair. I mean, legally, we could essentially stick them with nearly twice as much for those expenses.
Right, but here's why we didn't. We still want the tenants to feel like they're getting a deal. We keep our rents just below market rate, so they're not going to want to move to lower their housing costs. This is the same thing. Many landlords in the Sacramento area are using the RUBS program and passing pretty much the whole cost over to the tenants. And we want to ease our tenants into this.
Yeah, so we sent them a notification, I believe it was over a year ago, that we would be implementing a utility share fee at some point. So no one should really be surprised. And I do hope they appreciate it will be as low as it is, all things being considered.
Oh, I fully plan to share what the cost is versus what I'm charging so that they're not going to have anything to complain about.
Yeah, well, giving them ample notice like that should reduce the shock that many other landlords have experienced, because a lot of tenants will see this as just another rent increase. They will be confused and, kind of suspicious of why landlords are doing this quote unquote out of the blue, because tenants will not react so much to the fee as they will to the surprise of it. You can absolutely expect a pushback and questions about how much it'll cost them. Luckily for us, many of our tenants were very accepting.
And I think the nice thing about the flat fee that we will add is that they don't have an additional bill coming in like they would with the RUBS program. It's one less app and account that they have to set up payment for. So here's how we're going to go about implementing this new flat utility fee. We are lucky that we have 4 of the 6 units renewing over the next 60 days. So with that renewal, we will let them know that effective June 1st, we will be implementing this utility fee. It's really important that if you have not included a disclosure in your previous lease with a tenant, you should not implement this fee mid-lease. Do it at renewal or with every new tenant. Make sure in the new lease that you clearly mention what utilities are covered, the monthly amount, and how that amount was determined. So for Sacramento, we have a base cost of $65 per unit, and we'll charge an additional $20 for each additional tenant on the lease. Only one of our units has 2 tenants living in it, so that one would be a cost of $85. The midterm unit has to have utilities included because that's why we're charging such an inflamed rental rate. That's the point of it, to be like a hotel where there's one rate including furniture, fixtures, utilities, all that.
Now listen, we don't want to nickel and dime all of our tenants. This is the first time we have even charged a fee for anything, so we want to start small. At some point, those rates will go up when the market calls for it.
Oh, absolutely. We are honestly a little nervous about charging our tenants a fee. They're all great tenants, most of them anyway, and we don't want them to feel like they're being taken advantage of. But And that's a big but right there. This is not about charging more. This is about allocating shared building costs fairly. We're separating the housing costs from the shared service costs.
And if I had to guess, most landlords are more than fair with their tenants and are likely losing out on potential profits like we are. And that's not the way to run a business. When you go in to eat at a restaurant and you order a meal, the cost of everything it takes to make that meal or drink or whatever is calculated into the price you see on the menu. From the actual cost of the ingredients to a percentage of the cost of the building rent, insurance, and labor, from the waitress to the cook to the busboy and dishwasher, and the cost of the utilities it takes to operate that restaurant. If we can get landlords to start thinking like a true business person and not be afraid of what your tenants think of you for taking care of your income, then we've done our job.
Yeah, exactly. You guys, good property management is not just collecting rent. It's managing expenses in a way that keeps the property sustainable long term. And before I close this episode out, I have two more things that I want to address. There are some rental situations where utilities are preferred to be included, namely with student housing, short-term rentals, and I would guess likely Section 8 housing, which is more budget fixed kind of housing. And lastly, wording in your lease is very important. If they fail to pay the utilities, you need to have it stated in a way that this is a fee they can be evicted for not paying. If the lease is unclear, the courts will treat the fee as rent. And this can affect your late fees, the way notices are delivered, and eviction calculations. So make sure your wording is clear as to what the rental rates are and what the fee for the utility usage is. Most leases have special addendums to include these distinctions now.
Yep. And if you're looking for a solid state-specific lease, you guys should check out Easy Landlord Forums. And many landlord software apps now provide leases as well. TurboTenant has great leases too. We use them for Kid 2's leases in his duplex in Idaho. We will link them both in the show notes.
Yeah, so that's our show for today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to listen to what we have to say about self-managing your rental properties. We're very grateful and very humbled to be able to share what we know to help you guys on your journey. Now, if you enjoyed this episode and you got some helpful information out of it, would you mind helping us out by leaving a review? We would really appreciate it. Even sharing the podcast with another landlord that you know would be great. And if you want to hear more, follow or subscribe to the podcast so each week the episodes are downloaded right to your favorite podcast platform. We'd love to stay in contact with you. If you have a question or you want to suggest a subject for our podcast, you can text us at 650-489-4447, or you can email us at Stacie@yourlandlordresource.com. That's Stacie with an IE, or Kevin@yourlandlordresource.com. We'll link those in the show notes too. I think that's about it. Thanks again, and until next time, you've got this, landlords.